It's 5:31. Good evening, everyone. Councillor Lewis sends his regrets and has asked that I chair the meeting on his behalf this evening. So you'll have to make do with me as the substitute tonight. So let's get started this evening with the recognition of our Indigenous peoples and lands by stating that we would like to acknowledge the treaty territory of the Anishinaabe, which is defined within the pre-Confederation treaty known as the London Township Treaty of 1796. Throughout time, this region has also become the current home to the Haudenosaunee and the Lenni-Lenape nations. So following along in our agenda, we'll ask for completion and acceptance of tonight's agenda.
I'll move it.
By John and seconded by Gary. Thank you. And all those in favor of the agenda as proposed, thank you. That's passed. And before we carry on, I'll ask, are there any disclosures of interest based on this evening's agenda? Any conflicts? None? Okay, thank you. And finally, I'll ask for approval of the minutes from our previous meeting. I'm assuming everyone's had an opportunity to review those. Adrian, thank you. Seconded by Tammy. All of those in favor? Thank you. That's passed. It looks like we may have a short meeting this evening, given that we have no communications, delegations, or presentations on our agenda. So let's get right into the good stuff.
Sorry for the interruption. There was some last minute correspondence and communication that was sent out yesterday related to the selection of the community directors.
Paul, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
How's that?
It's better.
Okay, sorry about that. Just wanted to bring the board's attention to some correspondence we received on June 15th related to the selection and reopening the nomination for the selection for board of directors for community members. We shared that with the board yesterday, but I think it's important that as communications received.
Sorry, I'll just ask you to pause there for a second, Paul. I'm still having a hard time. Is anybody else having a hard time with Paul's volume? Okay.
All right, I will try this again. Just trying to add the communications from the city clerk related to the community directors to bring that to the board's attention for receipt. Still.
Paul, beside the mute button, there's a little up arrow. Just make sure the microphone is set to the headset if that's what you wanted to do. It seems like it's still coming across your computer, which is why I think we have trouble hearing it.
All right. Is that better?
That's way better.
Way better.
Don't say I don't know anything about tech support.
That's amazing, because I do not like Zoom for this reason, because I can't troubleshoot it. All right.
I may have done it 1 or 2 Zoom calls before, so I may have learned this from my own experience.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that sage advice. I will use it wisely and every day. So I wanted to bring the board's attention to the communications received from the city clerk that confirmed that they're re-advertising the community director role for LMCH, which will let us reopen the recruitment and engagement of the community to fill the 2 positions on our board that are becoming vacant. We received additional information today that advertisement will be posted in the paper on June 23rd, and that the nomination will remain open until July 8th. So we will be working with Anna Marie as chair of the subcommittee to finalize the schedule and sort of determine what that workflow means for the subcommittee. I remind the board that at our last meeting of the board, the board delegated the authority to nominate the new directors to the subcommittee because they felt the timing was gonna not work with the next board meeting in July. So our target is to get that nomination to the City of London for their July 27th SPPC meeting, which will get a City Council approval in August. Our deadline for doing that is, excuse me for 1 second, it is July 15th, end of day. So we will work with Anna Marie on the schedule to make sure we have availability and quorum for the subcommittee and make sure we manage that process through to successful nomination and recommendations.
Thanks, Paul,
You're
for
welcome.
mentioning it. I did see the late submission and it slipped through the agenda. So thank you for bringing that forward. Mr. Milson, is this your last meeting? Or do you carry on in your role until it has been filled?
Through the chair, my understanding is I will carry on until another director is appointed.
That's good. That gives me time to prepare my speech of thanks. Okay. Any questions for Paul regarding the nomination process? None? Okay. So let's stay with Paul and we'll hear a high-level overview of the CEO report.
All right, through the chair, the CEO report has got light this month. What you'll see instead is there's directors' reports going to the committees now. So we're trying to work through the committee structure as best we can. And I would expect this is probably going to be the shortest one you'll see from me. I think of note for the organization is that we have completed our annual report for 2021. That is now available publicly. It's called Eyes on the Future. It was a really interesting exercise to reflect on all the work that took place in 2021 and all the sort of, a little bit of the adjustments we've had to make for COVID, how some of the bigger projects moved forward, like finalizing the CMHC funding, the work appointing the architect for Reimagine Southdale and the work there. And I think of significance to me was the just the importance of partnerships and how we're working through partners to engage our tenants and sort of provide the supports and services that were really helpful through the pandemic, but are, for some of our tenants, are regular service and supports they rely on. So just recognizing the number of partnerships, the number of programs, and the impact they have in the community was really helpful to me and really helped me understand the organization a little more. So this report is now available as part of the City Council package. It is now available on our website. I shared the link earlier. And, I think it really highlights some of the good work we've done over the last 2021. And I'll say that use the collective we because I was only here for a short part of it. So recognizing the leadership of Andrea in getting that work done and this board and its predecessor board. Outside of the annual report, just an interesting aspect in terms of conversations with CMHC. It's something we're having more of as we're engaged with them and trying to determine how we Reimagine Southdale and other work. They've introduced a new funding stream that will allow us to access funding for new builds without getting loans, which is very helpful. So if we are funded through, say, the City of London or the County of Middlesex or some other body to do some work or get a mortgage on our own, we do not have to go through CMHC and we can get access to some funds to offset the cost of the project. So that's particularly beneficial for us in Reimagine Southdale and will help us manage those costs through the project. So we're going to learn more about that program in the coming weeks, and we'll be sort of moving that forward as an option as we sort of look at the financing. And then I think the final note on the CEO report is we continue to work through staffing challenges, and the challenge is just to keep the number of staff. We have a little bit of attrition. We're supposed to be growing through business case 19. And while we add new people, they move to other jobs within the organization and other people leave the organization. So you'll notice on our KPI report that our numbers are pretty stagnant over the last year or so, and not be able to grow. And just highlighting that we have 9 open competitions for 15 staff at this point. Some job offers have gone out and some people are scheduled to join us, but it is an ongoing issue for us that we continue to put a lot of resources into recruitment and trying to bring new staff on board.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
Given the number of consent items tonight, I think we'll do a quick level highlight of everything, and then we'll ask for the motion thereafter. So we've got you on a roll. Did you want to touch on the highlights of the vacancy report while you're there?
Yes, I am just getting to that on my screen. Vacancy, sorry, just let me, I thought I had it and I did not have it. It's I guess, pleased to report on vacancies, sort of a tale of, there's 2 sides of the business. For the last few years, consistently, we've been hitting our target and managing well on the side of tenant placement. It's a strong performing team, good structures, good workflow, and delivering on time. We do have some vacancies on that team now, and we mentioned that in the past. So what we see is we see an increase in units that are available for rent as the property services team is reducing the number of units that are in make ready. They're really close to hitting their target of number of units they're supposed to have vacant, and they continue to work through the age of the vacancy. So we had committed that the property services team would be on track for hitting targets on the number of vacant units and have a better idea of what the target is reasonable for the age of the units they are working on in the fall. And we're well on track to keep our vacancy target in line and to determine what a reasonable target is to turn units over. We expect by that time, the tenant services team will be work through their backlog. They are working through very diligently on their units, but they do have a capacity issue. So we expect as soon as that capacity issue is addressed next month, that they'll be able to, by the end of Q3, be back on track to their average days being around 20 days and their unit stock being much lower than it is today. So just a lot of confidence in the direction we're going, a lot of gains where we were struggling with gains before on the property services side. So confident that we'll be hitting our targets at near and around the end of Q3.
Thank you, Paul. On behalf of the Finance Committee, I'll provide a brief overview. The Finance Committee last met on June 7th to review several staff reports that have been enclosed in this month's board package for everybody to review. I would say of particular interest were the positive reports regarding the success of the Yardi software implementation, the successful migration of the corporate mobility account, and then, of course, the fantastic news that Paul just mentioned regarding the CMHC approval. So I actually just wanted to pause at this point with the full board in attendance and acknowledge that heavy lifting that everybody's done over the last little while that's put into these successes. So I just want to say thank you to staff, Diana and your team, and Paul and the senior leaders. It's apparent that you've been very busy. And we really appreciate you keeping us updated on all of your progress. Staff presented the Finance Committee's annual work plan, again included in this report. It included numerous placeholders for the procurement approvals as required. So although this doesn't exceed the mandatory 4 meetings per year. Committee really felt that it was appropriate to meet as needed to ensure that progress is not impeded by the procurement policy related to approvals of large dollar value contracts. So we will endeavor to meet the needs of the business as they are required. And then in regard to the capital projects, there was a considerable amount of discussion we had regarding the number and status of active or outstanding projects, really in regards to the organization's ability to execute the work in a timely fashion. And again, Paul spoke to the procurement challenges, or I'm sorry, the recruitment challenges. We did learn that the organization is seeking additional resources to help expedite the procurement aspects of the work. And staff believe that this is the thing that will help them get caught up to the point where they can execute on the planned capital work within the year it's been approved. And so that, of course, is notwithstanding unforeseen issues in supply chain or some of the other weird things that we've seen lately with COVID. So we're looking forward to that. Diana did provide the unaudited income statements and KPIs for Q1. Certainly no concerns from the committee. We have an opportunity to discuss them as a board here tonight, while also introducing the committee to the early stages of the 2023 budget preparation work. Again, no concerns at this time from the committee. The groundwork for the 2023 budget was previously established under the City of London's multi-year budgeting process. And so we're not anticipating any surprises there, but we do have a lot of experience in the Finance Committee when it comes to budget preparation. So feeling confident that we're in a great position. And then finally, the committee did receive the staff report, FC 2208, and we agreed with staff's recommendation to the board. This really is a critical contract covering the fire alarm and sprinkler testing and maintenance to Troy Fire and Life Safety for the term of 3 years. And given that that contract value does exceed $75,000 per the procurement policy, we'll be reviewing this one together following our consent items tonight as a board, and that will require us to vote on it. So we are scheduled to meet again next week for procurement approvals if necessary, but that's it for now. So maybe we can have Anne-Marie provide us a bit of a highlight of the Tenant Services Committee, and then we will ask for a motion to receive the reports. Anne-Marie?
So for Tenant Services Committee meeting, we had our first meeting. So the first thing we did was elect me as chair. And the understanding was that when our new directors come on board, we would have one of them take over, as I will be having other commitments with regards to school coming in September. So I may not be able to make all the meetings depending on my schedule coming up. We received a number of staff reports outlining basically what the tenant service director is doing with tenant services. There are a number of capital projects going on right now with the tenant services work plan. It basically goes over sorry, I'm a little bit lost. I'm not really sure what highlights I should be going over. We went over a lot of community development, tenant engagement programs that we have going on with regards to community safety, Reimagine Southdale, the Yardy update, and other tenant services that we have going through LMHC right now. It's all very positive. It seems like we're really stepping forward to provide more services in addition to just housing to tenants, which is really great to see. There was a lot of discussion about the connectivity table and about the services that we've been providing. With the tenant engagement and community development strategy report, there is a lot of discussion regarding just the tenant engagement, because we're bringing tenants forward to give their feedback to us, which we've been utilizing. And we've been trying to put them at the center of all the processes of how we decide things. So there is a wonderful, I'm not sure what page it's on, but if you scroll down, there is a visual here, and it's based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And we're kind of basing that on the center of the way we're focusing on meeting tenant needs. And if you look at right in the middle, some of the outcomes are health, education, employment, and connection, community connection. So we're trying to meet the needs of our tenants, and by focusing on these main things, we're trying to bring a more constructive approach to building more of a community. And there was a lot of discussion. A lot of people liked the Maslow's hierarchy of needs visual here. And all of the reports were approved to be received. And that's all. I can't really think of anything else. If anybody would like to add anything, feel free. Thank you.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. Okay, we've heard highlights of our consent items this evening, so I'll ask for a motion to receive the items as presented in the package. Thank you, Gary, seconded by Mr. Milson. Thank you, John. Are there any questions or comments for either Paul, Anne-Marie, or I in regards to our summaries this evening? I had one question for you, Paul. It's in regards to your recruitment efforts. I noted that you stated there were 9 competitions, active competitions right now, but I was surfing around on the website and I only see 1 posted. Should we expect to see those on the LMCH website, or would they be elsewhere like Indeed or something? You're muted.
My apologies. Through the chair, they're posted on our website. They are posted through, typically, depending on the job, LinkedIn and Indeed and a few other places. So an active recruitment goes all the way through until an offer is accepted. So we may be screening, we may be interviewing, we may be have someone, a candidate under offer, but they haven't accepted. So that's what's considered active. So the posting period is only the first 2 weeks of it, and there's typically the tail end that is the longer period of a recruitment process. So you'll only see a few of them on our website.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there other questions or comments this evening? No? All those in favor then of receiving the reports? Are there any opposed? No, and that's passed. Thank you very much. We do have 1 report that requires the board's review, and that is the staff report that I previously mentioned, the contractor's award to Troy Fire and Life Safety for the fire alarm sprinkler testing and maintenance. Phil, I see you're here. I'm sure folks have had an opportunity to review the report. Is there something further to the report that you care to add?
No. Basically a straight up competition between 4 vendors. Troy came in as the lowest bidder. We spent a fair bit of time vetting their proposal. We went and spoke directly with them, myself included, around all the addendums, had they picked everything up and had they included this and that, because the contract this is replacing didn't work out quite that well. So,
Okay.
So we're excited about this company. They've been doing some emergency service work for us, and they've been performing very well. So we're looking forward to the partnership.
Thanks, Phil. I'll ask for a motion tonight. The motion is to approve the award of the fire alarm sprinkler and testing maintenance contract to Troy Fire Safety Limited for a term of 3 years in the sum of a total of $259,575.69, and to authorize staff to take the necessary steps to give effect to the above recommendation. Thank you, Gary. Seconded by Anne Marie. Are there any questions for Phil or Paul in regard to the contract or the procurement process? No, seeing none. All those in favor then of the approval? Thank you. Motion is passed. So we've quickly found ourselves at the point in the agenda where I'll ask if there's any new business for this evening. Seeing none. We'll keep it short and sweet this evening then. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Adrian, thank you. Seconded by Gary. All those in favor of getting outside on this warm, sunny day? Yes. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Later,
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.